Hi, everyone. Welcome to our weekly chat. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, it's really our honor and our pleasure to have your company. My name is Estefani. I'm one of the volunteers at the Paul and Stephen Spiritus Centre in Melbourne, Australia. And as I always like to do, especially in these troubled times, we'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land, the Aboriginal people, by paying our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. And before we really start, I'd like us to center ourselves. Our thoughts are often racing, aren't they? Even when we're sitting down, supposedly quietly trying to pay attention, and we have a million things going on in our heads. So if it's okay with you, please close your eyes and sit comfortably. Tell your body to relax. Ask your body to relax. Take a deep breath in, hold for a sec, then let it go deeply. Feel your body starting to relax. Take another big deep breath in. Hold for a couple of secs. Then let it go. Ask your mind to relax. Take one more breath in. Hold for 3 secs. Let it go with a sigh. Feel your mind quieting down. Let go of everything else for the next few minutes. Check that your shoulders are relaxed, that your jaw is relaxed. Put a little smile on your face. And please join me in the prayer that was taught to us by our brother and teacher Jesus. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the power, the kingdom, and the glory. So be it. You may open your eyes back up. Hi again. Our topic today is guardian angels. It is mostly based on the Spirit's book, questions 489 to 500, but also the Gospel according to Spiritism. And I encourage you to read them when you have a chance, maybe during your Gospel at Home session. And there's also more material on this topic. You know, the other books of the Spirit, the books that are the pillars of the Spiritist philosophy, as we always say, you know, in the Genesis, in the Medium's book. And as I so often have mentioned, one of the easiest ways to find information on a specific topic that we know is reliable is to go to kardecpedia.com and just type what you want in, and it will give you all lots of sources of information from Allan Kardec's books. You know, as well as having the books that you can go straight to and click to the section that you are looking for. And alternatively, of course, you know, YouTube and Google are full of talks and texts and all, you know, about all sorts of Spiritist topics. But in this case, always make sure to pack all your common sense along to make sure that the information that you are getting is from a good source, because everything is out there, right? But anyway, guardian angels. So when we think of guardian angels, we often think of little cherubs or beautiful winged human-looking creatures with magical powers, right? That's what most people tend to think, because it's the general imagery that we've grown up with that is all around us. So, they are often seen as whimsical, fantasy-like beings, which I believe makes quite a lot of people doubt their existence, or it sort of prevents them from really believing. They think it's something that we tell the children, but eventually you grow out of, right? But what is the view of the Spiritist philosophy on guardian angels? So according to Spiritism, guardian angels are spirits that are of a higher order than we are, or than their charges, who attach themselves to an individual or a group to help them through, to lead them to the right path, provide advice, console them during the trials of life. So they're basically spirits that are like our brothers or sisters, even though their dedication to us is a lot more than that. So it's a lot more than that, because sometimes brothers and sisters don't always get along, and our guardian angel is always going to be there for us, a bit like a parent and a teacher all rolled into one. And yes, every single one of us is assigned a protector of sorts, at least one. Some people have more spirits around them, but at the very least, we all have one guardian angel. Or sometimes they're called spiritual guides, spiritual mentors, protective spirits. And while sometimes, different aspects or tasks may be assigned to some of those names, the name doesn't really matter. The denomination that you give them is less important than the fact that they commit to stay with us throughout our entire incarnation, and at times even beyond that. Which may sound a little bit hard to believe, isn't it? For us. We sometimes balk at making certain commitments, like we look at a mortgage and think, what, 30 years? Are you kidding me? Am I even going to live that long? So to think that someone is going to be there with you your entire incarnation, or even longer than that, it's hard for us to comprehend. But in terms of our spiritual existence, which actually has a beginning but has no end, one or even a handful of incarnations is really not as much time as it may seem to us right now. Yeah. So and what are their missions? What is the guardian angel's job? It is very much what most of us think it is. They're there to protect us, to guide us, to keep us company, to console us. They are our true companions in this journey, and they are completely faithful and the true example of what it is to have unconditional love and dedication. And so you may ask, how come I can't see or feel my guardian angel's presence? Well, they are spiritual beings. They are not currently incarnated, so they're not in the flesh the way we are right now. Yeah. So most of us are unable to see or to feel them with our physical senses, so we need to go a little bit beyond in order to sense them or to feel them, right? Because some people, they have mediumship and they are able to communicate with the spirits around them at different levels. Some people see them, some people hear them, some people feel them. There's all kinds of mediumship, but they are in contact when they do have that ability. They're in contact with all spirits, good and bad, right? So it's not for everyone, and so not everyone is able to do that at this point in time. At this point in our journey towards evolution. However, every single one of us has access to intuition. That is the one. That is one ability that we all have. Every single one of us. Obviously, at different levels. Some people are more in tune and work on it. Some people naturally have it more developed because we all come with different baggage, different things that we've done in the past. So we don't just lose all of that. We bring that with us, and so it shows in lots of different ways. But no matter whether you have a lot, a little, well developed, not that well developed, we all have access to intuition. So really, we are all able to communicate with our guardian angels or guiding spirits. But in the absence of that overt mediumship, we need to pay more attention, right? We need to turn inward. We need to quieten the noise, the everyday life, the to-do lists, the deadlines, the issues that the whole world is facing. It is very hard to compete with all of that, so it is a little bit like what we tried to do in the beginning, to just take a moment to focus on this one thing for a few minutes. And it is a little bit like that kind of connection that we need to look for, to be able to tune into our guides, right? But it doesn't mean that we can only communicate or with them if we are meditating, or if we are praying, or if we are, transcending. In our everyday lives, we are constantly receiving messages. And everyone knows that, even if they don't know that they know it, right? A lot of people will call it a gut feeling. Some people will call it an inspiration, an idea. They call it God's whispers. There are so many names, but at the end of the day, a lot of that is our guardian angel trying to steer us in the right direction. Yeah. And I say trying because we unfortunately don't always listen to those whispers, those ideas, those inspirations, or those gut feelings. And oh boy, how often we regret that, don't we? How many times we, after the fact, we think, oh, I should have gone with my first instinct. I should have gone with my gut. But then we didn't. And, we learn, hopefully, our difficult times that we go through in life are there to teach us. The saddest thing is not that we go through difficult times. The sad thing is if we don't learn from them, right? Because every single one of us has to face some obstacles in this life, and hopefully get through them. And so it is important to learn. So if you're thinking about, can we talk to our guardian angels? Are they always there with us? Yeah, as I've just mentioned, we can and we should communicate with them regularly, because it's just not going to be in the way that we talk to people who are incarnated, right? If we can't expect that it's going to be a conversation and you're going to hear and see them in the same way that you do your best friend, your family, or whatever. we have to use our other senses, right? Because most of us are not actually going to hear their voice talking back to us, or see them appear in front of us like we might see in the movies. So it's not quite like that. But like everything in life, practice makes perfect. So the more we reach out to our guardian angels, to our spiritual guides, the easier it will be to recognize their voice, their messages, right? However that will come for you, because it is different to every one of us. Some people will feel something, some people might hear something, some people might all of a sudden look for signs. Everyone is a bit different, but the more we reach out to them, the more we get used to communicating with them, to ask them for help, for guidance, for communication, and we actually give them space to to give them the mental space or the heart space to hear, to feel what they're trying to get through to us. We'll get used to that voice, because obviously our guardian angels are not the only spirits that are around us, and sometimes we have a lot of trouble telling one voice from the other, right? The that sort of image, that quintessential image of the angel and the devil on each shoulder is not that far off. Not that there are devils or anything like that, but there are higher and lower level spirits, and when everyone is talking, sometimes like we think, oh, maybe I should do this, oh no, but I really want to do that, but I know that this is the right thing, but no, but and we keep going back and forth, and we're not sure who to listen to. So the more we get in touch with our guardian angel, the easier it will be to know who their messages from other messages. And because at the end of the day, it's always our choice, isn't it? We're always going to choose, but they are of a higher, they are further along in their evolution journey, so they are most often going to have the best advice for us, because they are there exactly for that, and they know so many more things than us about life in general, but even about our lives and our missions and what we need to go through. So they were put in there to help us and to guide us, so the more we can at least listen to what they're trying to tell us or show us, the better informed our decisions are going to be, because they're always going to be ours, but oftentimes we are being guided by whoever and whatever, whether it's spiritually or people in our lives, what people say, what we see, what we hear in the media, in everywhere. And it is good for us to sometimes make sure that we stop and we think about what we're doing and why we're doing it. So yeah, practice makes perfect. And eventually, and at first it may take a little bit of concentration and of effort, but eventually it can even become the type of ongoing banter that we often have with our subconscious, which is not always positive for us. That little voice in our head, who is often very critical and who's butting in on everything that we do or say or think. We sometimes, like, the more we communicate with our guardian angel, maybe we can give them more space than that, little annoying voice that doesn't always steer us in the right direction and doesn't have our best interests at heart. So yeah, it's absolutely worth keeping that communication going, and not just, at times of great stress and need, even though we can always turn to them in those times. It doesn't matter how absent we've been, or how terrible we've behaved, or how much we've ignored them. They are above all of that. They're never going to just turn around and tell us, I told you so, or oh yeah, now you turn to me, or any of the other things that maybe the other kind of behaviors or comebacks that we might have if people behaved with us in the way that we behave with them. They are not going to do that. They're always going to be there for us every time, anytime. And so the more we align ourselves with those spirits who love us and who want the best for us, the less we'll have in common with the lower spirits, because we only ever tune into them or let them influence us because we resonate with them. We are vibrating at their level. We are doing things and saying things at a at a lower level. The more we associate with higher beings and live our lives in a higher level, those others are not going to be able to do anything. They won't be able to have any influence on us. They can only influence us when we let them. And yes, our guardian angels are always available to us, but they're not always right there by our side, right? We that's often something that people wonder, because we have a bit of a limited capacity to understand a lot of things. But in these days of Wi-Fi connectivity and virtual everything, it is actually probably getting easier to understand that no matter where or when, our spiritual guides can be with us in our time of need, even if they weren't right there. The moment we call them or we need them, they'll be there for us immediately, no matter what, because that all that happens in faster than in the speed of light. So yes, they do have other things to do, and the higher level they are, the more likely they are to have other tasks. But we are their priority. If a spirit has committed to being someone's guardian angel, then like that person, their charge is their priority, right? So it's a bit like if we think about a parent and the baby is sleeping, and they will take that time to go do a few other things nearby. And they do that, but they take a monitor with them, or they keep listening really closely, or they put some kind of measure in place so that the moment the baby stirs or cries or wakes up, they're there, right? Our imagine if an incarnated parent can do that, our guardian angels can do so much more. So yes, they may not be right there on our shoulder, but they're always there for us. And another thing that I might think is, what type of spirits are they? A lot of people think that they might have to be saints or perfect or pure spirits or whatever, but they are spirits that are further along the evolution journey than we are, or than their charges are, right? So the easiest way to think about that is to think of our teachers. They need to know more than us in order to educate us, but they don't need to know everything. And there's a different level of preparation that you need for teaching little kids than you need to teach at university level or beyond that level. So the more that we progress, the more prepared they have to be. right? So we are going to get the spirit, the guiding spirit, at the exact level that we need, right? We don't need, you know, like you know, they just need to be further along enough than us. It's a relative thing, and they get chosen with a lot of care, and they will always be evolved enough that no matter how much we try their patience, they will never give up or on us or abandon us. You know, that's never going to happen. But having said that, sometimes we refuse to listen to them, you know, ever, or we choose to listen to lower level spirits or incarnated people, and we choose to do everything completely different. We choose to sometimes block them out completely, and they kind of, you know, sometimes decide that maybe they need to do something else with their time. But again, they're still always trying. They're still always there at the moment that we, you know, ask, or that we are in any sort of situation. They will never ever give up on us. But sometimes, you know, if really we are just completely blocking them out, then, you know, they probably have other stuff that they can do as well. And yeah, so but like I said before, with the baby sleeping, isn't it? They always will have an eye on us. They will always have us in the little monitor, and they will always be trying their hardest for us. It is actually up to us to reciprocate, to open up to our channels and to listen to them. You know, and another thing that we might think about is, you know, what do they get out of being our guardian angels or our spiritual guides? What's in it for them, isn't it? Look, for some of them may be a choice. For others, it may be a job or a mission. You know, some of them might just have been given, look, you are the perfect fit for this person, and, you know, here you go. That's your mission, should you choose to accept it. Others might have a more of a personal connection, right? So a lot of people tend to think that our guardian angels are members of our families that have passed, right? And, you know, whilst that can be the case, it's not usually people that have been in our families right now, right in this incarnation, right? They are likely to be members of our spiritual family. They are people or spirits who love us deeply and unconditionally, and they want us so much to succeed that, you know, that they actually choose to stay there with us and try and pull us along, you know, and you know, and put and dedicate all their time and their effort to protect and guide us, right? But you know, it we shouldn't really worry too much about who they are or whether we know them or whether, you know, because sometimes, you know, when we try to, you know, to pray and to ask for, you know, maybe someone who we love very much and has passed, and you know, we put them in a difficult situation sometimes, a little bit like that parent who can't actually, who their child is asking for something and they can't give it, and it hurts them, and if, you know, it makes them feel terrible. So when we have those situations, yes, we always need to pray for those people we love and that are no longer, you know, here in the same plane as we are. But we pray for them. We send our vibrations and our love to them for them to do well in the next step of their journey, for them to have a peaceful passing, and for them to do well. You know, rather than ask them for stuff, the best thing for us to do is to send them our love and our positivity, because they are going through something that we don't know, so the last thing we want to do is to distract them from that or get in the way of that, right? Because what we know for sure is that the right guardian angel, the right guiding spirit is right there next to us. We don't need to go and try and figure out who it is. We just, like they're just there, right? We just reach out. We reach out and they'll be there. There's a song, isn't it? That says pretty much that. So just we just need to reach out, and they are always going to be there. And what else? They are. What do they are there. It's like I said, it's a mission, it's a choice. It's just they do it either out of duty or out of love, but they will just be there, like our cheer squad, so when we do well, they are happy for us, they're proud of us, like that loving parent, like that good teacher that wants to see us succeed. And also when we don't follow the advice, or we find ourselves in tough situations, of course they feel disappointed for us, but so it does make them sad, but we should never have any fear. They will never turn their backs on us. So yes, we can apologize. Yes, we can try and do better next time, but we don't ever need to have that anguish that, oh my gosh, I've done something terrible. What if they're not going to be there for me? They're always going to be there for us. Always. And I guess one question that a lot of people ask is that if we do have guardian angels right next to us at all times, why do bad things happen to us? Well, I mean, you probably gathered already from what's already being said that there are several times, way too many times, when despite their every effort, we don't listen, and then we have to deal with those consequences. They try in every way they can to advise us, to guide us, but at the end of the day, it's our free will. It's always going to be our decision. They can inspire us. They can even inspire others around us to try and help our situation, but it will always come down to our choice. And sometimes, it's not that we didn't listen. Sometimes there are things that are not really in our control, and it's just something we have to go through. And more than ever, that's the time when we want to connect with us and see what they're saying, what they're doing, and if nothing else, that we need to know that we are not alone, that there is someone there for us that cares, and that wants us to do well, and wants us to get it right. So like I was saying before, the more we talk to them, the more we try to communicate with them, the easier it will be to feel their presence, to hear their advice, and the more aware that we are that there is always someone there for us, who loves and cares for us unconditionally, the less likely we are to feel alone or left behind. It's such a big issue right now, especially in times like, when we are locked down and we are not allowed to be with those people we love. A lot of people feel very lonely and down and a bit abandoned, so to speak. So it is so important to remember that we are never, ever, ever alone. There is always, at the very least, our guardian angel right there, sent especially to look after us and guide us and be with us through it all, So it's really important to remember that, you are loved and you are protected and you matter always, every single one of us. And I'm recording this in a bit of a different way today, and I've lost track of the time, but I hope, well, I'm pretty sure that we should be wrapping up. So um, I'd like to close out the chat today with our general vibrations, and also with an excerpt of the prayers to the guardian angels that we can, and protecting spirits that we can find in the Gospel according to Spiritism in chapter 28. So again, if you feel comfortable, please close your eyes. Make sure that you are sitting comfortably. Take another deep breath. Feel the peace entering your body as you breathe in, and feel all the stress and worry leaving your body as you breathe out. Let it all go. And imagine your brightest thoughts and feelings and your deepest and your purest love flooding your body, starting from your heart, going to every single part of your body, every little nook and cranny, every organ, every limb, every muscle, every bone, every nerve cell, until you are so saturated by all the love and good vibrations that they emanate out of you onto the universe. And all of our brothers and sisters are in such great need of our love and good vibrations. So let's send all of that to them. And if you don't know how to do it, there is a guardian angel right next to you that is ready and happy to help. So, dear God, allow the good spirits who accompany me to help me when I'm in difficulty and uphold me when I falter. May they inspire me with faith, hope, and charity. May they be a point of support, an inspiration, and a testimony of your mercy. May I always encounter in them the strength that I lack for the tests of life, the strength to resist any evil suggestions. May I always encounter the faith that saves and the love that consoles. Beloved spirits and guardian angels, please be our protectors during all of life's tests and give us the necessary strength, courage, and resignation, and inspire us towards all that's good. And may your sweet influence fill our souls. You can open your eyes again. Thank you so much for joining me today, wherever you are, whenever this is. It is really much appreciated. Before we go, we just like to remind you of our campaigns. We have the breakfast packs that we deliver to the homeless people of Melbourne with food and personal hygiene items. And because we are in winter and it's been particularly cold, we are also delivering cold weather clothes to them. So many days and nights lately, we've had this wind and rain and freezing cold, and we are inside our houses with the heaters and the blankets. Imagine what it must be like to be out there without any of that. So if you can, please help us to continue with those tasks. We accept material like donations to our bank account. You can find the details in our website and our social media channels. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, or you can reach out to any one of us that you know. We're all there available. If you want to participate in any of the deliveries, reach out to us as well. We can talk about that. And we also collaborate with a couple of charities in Brazil who are delivering food and other essential items to people who are doing it really tough. They have been negatively affected by the the effects of the pandemic and the restrictions. And we're doing our little bit to try and help out. And we need your help. The other thing that also we've had recently is that we started our, as we call it, EAE. The acronym is in Portuguese, but it means the School of Gospel Apprentices. It started this week, but there's still time to join in if you wish to, and you can speak Portuguese. It is only in Portuguese at this point in time. The meetings are online on Tuesday nights. So if you have any interest, again, reach out to us and we can talk to you about it. And finally, Melbourne continues under lockdown order, so all our activities are online. Currently, we are always updating the situation through our social media channels. So please follow us there to keep up to date with, how things are going. So once we are allowed to go back to in-person activities, we will, but for the time being, it's all going to continue to be online. And that is it from me today. I would like to wish you a phenomenal week full of health and kindness, and invite you to join us again next week. And at any time you can look at our growing library of recorded chats. I'm sure there are some there that you missed or that you could watch again. And, as we change as people, the information that we saw at that time may appear to be completely different. But anyway, take care. Much love. See you next time.